if what you're saying is true, there's already a constitutional provision in place
Yes.
for the creation of the frontier Nagaland territorial area or the Tinsang area.
Yes. There's de facto already they mentioned over there.
So there's no need for any additional provision,
No.
no need for any
No.
amendments.
Yes, that's why the government of India, they're smart people. They read the constitution carefully, properly, fully, unlike the people in Nagaland. Because the implementing of 371A belongs to the state of Nagaland. So the government of Nagaland should implement that.
Okay.
Because how can the central government say implement 371A when it is already given to the state? This is your 371A, now you implement it.
The leaders of ENPO should be aware of these facts.
Either they are aware or they are ignorant or they are both. They are aware but they act ignorant.
Hello viewers, welcome to Forward Nagaland News. Aji we amkan tetso college cha agina ase. Aro amkan main yere topic of discussion do amkan sixth schedule. Aro the sixth schedule of the Indian Constitution. Aro Article 371A. Itu abdikan ajikal news episode hunigen thakibo Article 6th schedule do itu Ladakh khan la manu khan rabi bishi demand kuri ase. So amkan ajira discussion do itu 6th schedule do ki ase. Aro itu how is it different from Article 371A? Aro amkan la main interest to hoy Ladakh te manu khan demand kuri ase. Aro itu bi amkan bujibol try kuri sabo. Halobi itu la main drawbacks ki ase. Aro Nagaland naga perspective te itu kile important ase because amkan sa prachane itu Eastern Nagaland People's Organization Canberra, they are demanding for an separate state. Aro they can around last year they can bra ekta autonomous body ekta accept kurubo koigina they can temporarily accept kurigina ase. So we'll discuss will it come under itu amkan laga Fnta itu will it come under 6th schedule na Article 371 de aibona alag constitutional provision banabo. Itu also amkan discuss kurlobo. Aro itu discuss kurbo nimide amkan logo Dr. Salikyu. He is that's a college de associate professor ase. Aro tai logo amkan look discuss kurlobo. Itu ba Dr. Salikyu, thank you so much for sparing us some of your time. So we'll just go straight forward to the question. The article, the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, though it gives us, it gives the government power to establish autonomous district councils. For those of us who may not know what the 6th schedule is, can you please explain in brief what the 6th schedule is? Aro in idu Ladakh laga idu perspective te uluk kolibina.
Okay, thank you, Fnta, for giving us this opportunity. 6th schedule is a provision provided by in the Constitution of India for the scheduled areas. In other words, for areas that are under tribal majority lands and regions. So the 6th schedule essentially provides those minorities, those tribal minorities, with a power to control their own socio-economic dimensions of their lives, then control over their land use, then taxation for the purposes of constructions and development, and schools and healthcare. All these things are there so that to provide some safety net for these minority groups, for the tribal people, right? So in the sixth schedule is seen to be important for the minority tribal groups for the purposes of safeguarding their ways of life. So, but by providing some sort of an administrative overrule. In other words, it gives the picture that a state covered by under the 6th schedule will have some safety net with regards to the safeguarding of the culture, of the ways of life, from any intrusion, from any variables that may tend to threaten their ways of life. So that is very brief, in a very simple term. That's what 6th schedule is. I'm being very, very careful with my words because people misunderstand the 6th schedule. I don't want to use words which are not there. So that's, to be precise, that's what 6th schedule is.
So it gives the tribal people some sort of autonomy when it comes to their administration and
You see, the thing is, I won't say autonomy. It says autonomous in the sixth schedule, but the autonomy it is written, but then in practice, it's not possible.
Can you please
Okay,
give us
very
some
very good.
example?
Yeah, so the thing is, so all the powers that are being given to the six schedule states, so they've been given autonomy, autonomous district councils that has power to tax over their own land, has a power to build schools and take care of the healthcare and safeguard their social, economic, cultural, religious dimensions of their life. But then, but then you cannot think of sixth schedule as a stand-alone. It is the sixth schedule is not the constitution of India. The sixth schedule has to be understood within the seventh schedule. Seventh schedule decides the power of the state, the union list, and the concurrent list. And so you have to understand the sixth schedule in the context of the seventh schedule. And so whatever power is given to the state is kind of more or less like copied to the sixth schedule. In other words, in practice, everything belongs to the state. Even though it is under the sixth schedule, the real power is still
resides with
the state. Yeah. And that is the thing that is being misunderstood by many in India, especially what I see now is in Ladakh. They think that by demanding for a sixth schedule, they think that they can perform, they can be like, they can safeguard their tradition and culture, which is there, fine. But they think that they can be kind of autonomous from the UT, from which their present status, which they are currently in. But it is not going to make any difference, because ultimately it is the state or the UT that will have the ultimate say to how even the funds that are released for the scheduled area are dispersed and used.
When it comes to Ladakh, they're also demanding for a separate state with a sixth schedule.
Yeah, they can do that, but I think it would be better for them. I think they are trying to demand the sixth schedule with the state, like Meghalaya and Mizoram and Tripura, and then in Assam. But then I feel like getting a state is more realistic for them than demanding for a state with a sixth schedule.
Yeah, because even in Meghalaya, recently there was earlier this year the Khasi Hill Autonomous District Council.
Yes.
There was election going on,
Yes.
and then one of the candidates over there, Strong Pillar Kharacha, he said that he used the example of Nagaland. He said like, when it comes to red hole mining in 2024 it was banned by the National Green Tribunal all over the country except for Nagaland, because we have Article 371A which protects our land and its resources. And he said that this very example, he said like the National Green Tribunal cannot interfere with coal mining activity in Nagaland because of Article 371A. He further on said that paragraph 12A of the schedule, the sixth schedule,
Yes.
allows the state laws to prevail over that of the district council if there's any conflict. And
Yes.
he pushed for something similar to that of Article 371A, which we protection that we get, and then he wanted Meghalaya to be under Article 371A. Article 371, maybe a different provision for them. So that kind of exposes weaknesses that's
Yes.
inherent in the sixth schedule.
Exactly. I think you bring up a very good question, and this is something which I should address, which is a very good point, which people don't know. In the sixth schedule, the autonomous body has control over everything in a sense, more or less, like surface level control. But in sixth schedule, there's no mention about the resources, just the land. You can use the land use is up to you, the forest use is up to you, but the resources is excluded in the sixth schedule.
Okay.
But in 371A, it also includes the resources. It says ownership and transfer of resources.
So, would you say that when it comes to power and control, when it comes to autonomy, that Article 371A is way more powerful than than the sixth schedule?
Yes, because Article 371A falls under the Constitution, Part 21 of the Constitution. But the sixth schedule does not fall under any parts. It is a separate provision of its own, under a different schedule. Hence, those that are in the part of the Constitution, from Part 1, 2, 3, those are the real power ones. and hence Article 371A falls under Part 21 under special provisions part of the Constitution. So it is very powerful. So compared to sixth schedule, yeah, sixth schedule is just a schedule. So which again, the powers, and we have to remember that the surface level power given to the autonomous bodies, right, by the Constitution is not permanent. It can be changed anytime. The land which are under the schedule can be either removed, or included, or extended, or diminished. Everything is under the privilege of the governor who works on behalf of the Constitution of India.
So how is it different? How is the sixth schedule different from the fifth schedule? Because the fifth schedule does give power to the president to declare, or is it the governor that declares
Same.
land?
Actually there's no real difference. On paper, if you read the fifth schedule and the sixth schedule, if you actually read the Constitution, there's not much difference. It's just that the sixth schedule is. We have to remember that the sixth schedule was made precisely for, back then it was called Assam, right? But now it's no longer Assam, it's about in several states. The sixth schedule was specifically tailored and designed for the Northeast India. And the fifth schedule was not. So in the fifth schedule, there are many states in mainland India which are covered by the fifth schedule within the state. So within Maharashtra, there is a fifth schedule area. In Uttar Pradesh, is there. In Madhya Pradesh, is there. Orissa is there. Yeah, so it's there, and more or less the powers are also whatever you find in sixth schedule. It's there in the fifth schedule also. But then the only difference is that the sixth schedule was made precisely. It was like fifth schedule, but a fifth. You could actually say fifth schedule part A or part B. So that's the difference. So actually, the sixth schedule was made specifically for the Northeast India. Back then, it was called Assam. So it was made for Assam.
Right now, the sixth schedule covers only 4 states.
Yes.
And there are 3 autonomous bodies in Assam, in Meghalaya, Mizoram, and 1 in Tripura.
Tripura, yes.
So, but still, wouldn't you say that the sixth schedule gives a little more autonomy than the fifth schedule? Because in the fifth schedule, they have tribal advisory body.
Yes.
But in the sixth schedule, we have an actual district level autonomous bodies.
On paper, it looks like. We have to remember this. On paper, it looks like. But in practice, while you are practicing, the sixth schedule cannot be practiced regardless of what is said in the rest of the Constitution. I think that is where the confusion lies, and that is where we unnecessarily inflate the importance of the sixth schedule or even the fifth schedule. Just because a state is covered under the sixth schedule, it does not mean that the autonomous body in those states can function on their own. They are ultimately dependent on the state. For example, Meghalaya. Meghalaya has 3 districts: Chandia, Karos, and Khasis, autonomous districts. But even the functioning of those states, of those autonomous council bodies, they are reliant on the state government, Meghalaya state government, because all the funds for the autonomous bodies for these things are completely dependent on the state. Even the funds meant for the autonomous councils, they have to be directed, they have to be injected through the state treasury. So as long as the finance is controlled by the state, the fifth schedule and sixth schedule are paper tigers. They're just there. It looks good, people feel good about it. Oh, we are under sixth schedule, fifth schedule, we are nice. But if you actually go and look into the realities of those areas covered under the sixth schedule, it's pathetic. Look at Karbi Anglong. No, you won't even find, like the Karbi is literally, I feel sorry for them. They are in a worse condition than they were. Right? Look at the Kachar Hills. If you don't believe me, go and see the conditions. Even though they are covered under the sixth schedule, or the Bodolands, on paper it seems wow, very nice, but the reality is pathetic. No actual power.
So the people have actually suffered under the sixth schedule instead of benefiting.
Yes.
Because recently, Ratan Ingdi, who is the president of Karbi Anglong District Congress, he came up through an RTI. He alleged that around 1.53 bighas of land have been handed over to
Yes.
the corporates.
Yes. Exactly. They are losing the sixth schedule promises on paper, promises safeguard of your land, the use of your land, of your practices, but they can't even protect those things which the sixth schedule promises to protect. They are losing their land, they are losing their culture, they are losing their people. Even they are now a minority in their own land. So you see, that's the reality. So you have to understand this schedule in the context of the whole constitution of India. Because nothing, no schedule can surpass or supersede the whole constitution of India. Any part of the constitution of India that works, that is implemented in practice, has to be taken into account under the context of the whole constitution of India. And it is just that most people don't understand this. They think that, oh, sixth schedule, we get this. They think it is going to work the way it is. But if you look at the realities of the actual working of the schedule, it is an utter failure.
We'll come back closer to home then. As mentioned in the introduction, the Eastern Naga People's Organization, the ENPO, they've been demanding for a separate state, and they've temporarily accepted the center's offer for an autonomous body. So they've mentioned that this autonomous body won't come under the sixth schedule of the Indian Constitution, and initially they mentioned that necessary amendments should be made to Article 371A to accommodate the creation of an autonomous authority, the Fnta. So, do you think that an autonomous body can exist outside of the sixth schedule?
No. No and yes. No, but yes, fifth schedule.
The fifth schedule?
Yes. They never said fifth schedule, right? They said it won't come under the sixth schedule,
yeah.
but they never mentioned fifth, right? So you have to listen to what has not been said. So the fifth schedule.
But the fifth schedule is very weak.
Yes, very weak. It's weaker than
Sixth
sixth schedule. And you see that if you don't believe me how weak and pathetic the fifth schedule is, you ask the hill tribes in Manipur. Utter useless. Failure. And I do not know who is leading the FND, demand for the FND, but I think they need to do some real soul searching and also really understand the constitution. Because if they say it's under autonomous body has to come under either the fifth or the sixth. If they say it's not going to be under sixth, then obviously it will be under the fifth, like Manipur. Because in Manipur you have the hill districts of Manipur are under the fifth schedule, but then very weak. Development is worse than Nagaland in those hill districts.
Because on April 2025, the ENPO issued a statement saying that the draft of MOS proposal for constituting the Frontier Nagaland Territory Authority under Article 371A has been agreed to by the state government. Thus, Article 371A should be reviewed, modified, and suitably amended to incorporate these provisions. So, in Article 371A, initially the Dinsang area,
Yes.
they were given an autonomous
Yes.
status
Yes.
for a period of 10 years.
Yes.
So can't that be revived? And then can't that be amended and revived in a certain way?
How they put this? It's very how they put it. It's very something which is really easy to be understood, but also very complex. Because the thing is, if you actually read the Article 371A, the whole clause and sub clauses, which people don't read, they just read the first sub clause and then they're done with that. If you actually read the whole clause, the whole 371A, you'll find that, like you rightly mentioned, the Tunsang district, back then there was no the districts that we have now, was kind of an autonomous body. So actually, right now it is already in implementation. It's just that the thing is the 371A has not been properly implemented since it was given to Nagas, to the people in Nagaland. The issue is that it has not been fully implemented. Never has it been fully implemented. No government since the inception of the state of Nagaland has ever implemented fully, except for the first 5 to 10 years of existence, has it been fully implemented. Because if it has, the thing is, we cannot say that the Tumsang district autonomous body which was given to the Tumsang area is nullified because it is still there. Because it is still there, it should still be in force. Because if they say that
But it was given for a period of 10 years.
yes, but then after the 10 years, they should have changed the constitution. They should have amended the 371A then after the 10 years, but it has not been amended. I hope you're getting my point.
Yeah.
And I hope the viewers will understand the point too. If there's been no change, then the autonomous body is still in force. It has to be changed after they say yes, I get it. After 10 years, only for 10 years. But after the 10 years, if it has been given only for 10 years, then after the end of the 10 years, the amendment should have been done in 371A regarding that autonomous part of the Tumsang district. But if you read the 371A fully, it is still there. Nothing has been changed.
So it has not been amended.
Yes.
So it should have been amended.
Amended, yes.
So in reality, according to the law, the Autonomous Council of Tumsang district should still be continuing, should be existing right now.
Yes. Because it has not been changed. Because if it says for 10 years, after 10 years, the amendments should have been made in 371A, but it has not been made. In other words, de facto, it is still in functioning. That's how the constitution works. And that's why I'm saying that 371A has not been properly implemented.
If what you're saying is true, there's already a constitutional provision in place
Yes.
for the creation of the Frontier Nagaland Territorial Area or the Tumsang area.
Yes. There's de facto already there mentioned over there.
So there's no need for any additional provision,
No.
no need for any
No. And
amendments.
yes, that's why the government of India, they're smart people. They read the constitution carefully, properly, fully, unlike the people in Nagaland.
So all this discussion going on about the government of Nagaland saying that the Article 371A won't be amended, should not be amended, or we won't accept any additional provisions to the 371A to give the Eastern Nagaland people a separate identity, political identity, means nothing.
These are all distractions, right? They want to keep the... You see, the thing is this. The government in Nagaland has to keep the people distracted with all these things by saying these things because Nagaland is in a mess. High unemployment, no development, right? Lack of infrastructure, no investments coming in. So more and more, every year the unemployment rate is growing higher and higher and higher. But then the official record, they are suppressing it. They're not, even the official record is miserable. Not all those who are unemployed come and register themselves. So the unemployment rate is high. Officially they'll say, oh, we only have this much. But that's a lie. Because not everybody who are unemployed go and register with the government. So they have to keep distracted. They have to distract the people with all this nonsense to stay in power. So that they can enjoy the privileges that comes along with it.
So the ENPO, instead of asking for a separate Fnta, they should just ask the Indian or demand the Indian government to implement the Article 371A properly.
Yes and no, again, because I'll tell you why. Because the implementing of 371A belongs to the state of Nagaland. So the government of Nagaland should implement that.
Okay.
Because how can the central government say implement 371A when it is already given to the state? This is your 371A, now you implement it.
So the whole process has been slowed down and died down by the state government.
Yes, exactly. And they want things to go on like this forever, for a long time.
The leaders of ENPO should be aware of these facts.
Either they are aware or they are ignorant or they are both. They are aware but they act ignorant.
Because if I'm not mistaken, we've got in the ENPO, I don't know whether they're still in the talk team or not, but they've got experienced legislators and policymakers.
The thing is this, we should not use the word policymakers and legislators and apply to the ENPO, those who are there in the ENPO areas. Any politician can by de facto they are a legislator. Doesn't mean that they are a good legislator, but they are a politician. Hence, by the fact that they are elected, hence they are given the term legislature. What I'm trying to say is that people are not aware. Legislators themselves are not aware precisely because they have a self-interest. They have ulterior motives. They don't have the motive. They proclaim one thing, but the reality is some other intentions. Their intentions are different. They may have their own selfish interests. That's why they're saying what they're saying precisely to create more confusion, to create more chaos, to create more animosity, so that they can get there. Because by being a member of ENPO, they get access to high officials in the central government, and over there, the real talk may not be necessarily about the ENPO, but maybe about, can I get something from this? Which there's very high chances that it is the case. So they use some grievances of a group of people for their benefit, for their self-interest, whatever the self-interest may be. And I hope that I'm proven wrong. I hope that I stand to be corrected. But by looking at the confusion created, the unnecessary mess created, it's very obvious that what I'm saying is right. Because the Constitution of India is very clear.
I think myself, and not just myself, but even the public, we're under the impression that the talks have been stalled, maybe because of because like, will it be under Article 6? Sorry, 6 schedule, or the Article 371? Will it be 371A? Will it be amended, or will there be a new provision under Article 371? So, if what you're saying is true, then it can be done immediately.
It is no need for all the drama. It depends upon the state government to implement it properly.
So can someone take the state government to court regarding this?
ENPO can, as an organization, they can. But they will not.
They will not.
But there's a reason why. They jeopardize their own interests by doing so.
So you mentioned that Article 371A has not been implemented, not just in Eastern Nagaland, but Nagaland in general now, as a whole.
Yes.
So can you just explain a little bit?
Yeah, for example, it's very important. See, because the 371 is very, very clear and precise about the things, about what it wants, because it is there to safeguard the concerns of the Naga people here in Nagaland. So the government of India graciously gave it. I don't think people understand how powerful 371A is. The politicians have never implemented it properly because they have their own self-interest since the inception of the state. The people in general have a very little or ignorant about the real powers of the 371A. For example, the GST, for example, whenever any law of parliament is passed in parliament, it is up to the state to decide whether it can be implemented here or not. But the state government has consistently over time refused to do that. They've implemented GST here in Nagaland. They've implemented the Aadhaar mandatory in Nagaland, the PAN card in Nagaland. Everything, whatever is passed in the parliament, it is implemented here. Even the education and the new education policy, right? Even that also, the state government has a right. The state, when it comes under the state list, has the right to decide, but they implemented that. So all the changes that are being made in the central are being reflected back here in the state. So in what way, in other words, the moment we implement all the laws that are passed in the central here in the state, we are not safeguarding any culture. The whole purpose of 371A is to preserve our culture. It is lost. Education, it is lost. Nothing is done. We are losing our culture. We are losing our values. We are losing our political rights. We are giving it away. And the politicians are directly involved in doing so. Instead of safeguarding the people of the state, they are the ones implementing the values, implementing what has been passed in the parliament. Has there been any debate in the parliament whether to implement any act passed in the parliament here in the state? No. Because the state government is busy buttering up and slaving, going like a beggar for money. For themselves, not for the state. They'll go for the state, but the money is for them. No chief minister is exempted. No politicians is exempted. No bureaucrat is exempted. No police bureaucrats or directorate bureaucrats exempted. They are all explicitly involved. The bureaucracy in Nagaland are heavily involved in this. And the politicians.
So, in closing, what, in your opinion, would be the best suitable route for the Eastern Nagaland to gain certain level of autonomy?
It's a very complicated. To be honest, it's a very complicated answer answer for me to respond, because we know the reality of Nagaland, right? And we cannot blame one group or the other group. All groups are guilty of this, and something has to be done regarding the, how do I put it, the adverse groupism that we have. As long as that is not addressed, and my fear is that tribalism will become even more intense in the future. Right now, even though it is intense, it will be nothing compared to the future, because in the future there will be more high unemployment, and whenever there is high unemployment, people, every unemployed person will try to hold on to their group even more and get some benefits out of it. That's the reality of human existence. So I see that tribalism will be more intense, hence. But I think that it is better for. So what I'm trying to say is that it is better to kind of tackle that issue first. Otherwise, I think it is better for the eastern people, for the eastern Nagaland, to stay within the Nagaland and ask the state government to properly implement the autonomous thing. But to be honest, in my personal view is that how things are is better than getting an autonomous. Because if you get autonomous, you're going to create more poverty and more underdevelopment in the eastern area. Because by the virtue of autonomy itself, because of how it is defined in the constitution. So there's no way that my suggestion would be like, how things are, it is better than getting any sort of autonomy. It's either you get a state, separate state, or just stay within Nagaland, as it is right now, done. Because getting an autonomy even within 371A will not prove beneficial for the eastern people. In fact, it will create more underdevelopment in the region, because of the very nature of how the funds has to be transferred from the state coffers to the autonomous bodies. So it's either a new state or just stay within Nagaland. Done. At least that is my very humble and modest view.
Dr. Salikyu, thank you very much for giving us quite an eye-opening discussion interview, and hopefully we'll be having more of this sorts of conversation in the future. Thank you very much.